The sun burned high over the alien marketplace. Strange smells filled the air, spices, sweat, smoke, and something rotten. Dozens of species walked, traded, shouted. Some laughed, some argued, some stole. No one cared about the weak. No one looked at the ground except her. She crawled. Her arms shook with every inch forward. Her legs were gone, cut off long ago, the stumps hidden by dirty cloth. Her skin was thin and dry, her silver hair tangled and filled with dust, her back bent under the weight of the world. But no one helped. No one even offered a drop of water. Instead, they laughed. Look at her. Still alive? A crawling slug. She should be dead. She smells worse than a dead Brock beast. Some aliens tossed stones near her. Others stepped close, just to kick dust in her face. Her eyes didn't rise. She just kept moving, dragging her body past the merchant stalls, one hand pulling forward, the other holding a rusty metal bowl. No one gave her a single coin. Then a voice said, "Move that trash away. It's bad for business." The market guard kicked her side. Not hard, but enough to push her over. The bowl rolled away. A few coins she had managed to collect spilled across the ground. Aliens laughed again. She didn't cry. She just pulled herself up slowly and tried to crawl after her bowl. That's when he saw her. He stood tall and still in the shadow of a building. A human male. Strong, broad shoulders, dark brown eyes. Dusty armor marked him as a soldier, maybe. Retired, maybe just passing through. He had a bag on his back and a worn cloak on his shoulders. He said nothing. Just watched. His hand slowly tightened into a fist. The alien girl, her name was Zira, though no one had spoken it in years, finally reached the bowl. Her hand trembled as she grabbed it. Her fingers were bleeding from crawling over sharp stones. She pulled the bowl close, then lowered her head. Just a little more, she thought. Maybe someone will give a crust of bread. But then she heard heavy footsteps, different from the others. Steady, calm, not rushing, not afraid. She looked up. The human was walking toward her. The marketplace grew quiet around them. Traders paused. Guards narrowed their eyes. Whispers floated in the air. What's he doing? Maybe he's drunk. Stay away from her. Human, she's cursed it. The human kept walking. Step by step, across the market street, toward the broken girl in the dirt. Zira's hands shook. She tried to move back. "No," she whispered. "Please don't hurt me." But he didn't lift his boot to kick her. Instead, he knelt. Her eyes went wide. She blinked, unsure if she was dreaming. He was close now, close enough for her to see the scars on his face, the tired lines around his eyes. He looked at her like she mattered. Then he asked softly, "What's your name?" She stared. Her lips opened, but no words came. No one had asked her name in years. Guards shouted from behind, "Step back, human. Don't touch that filth." One of the guards reached for a baton, stepping forward fast. The human didn't move. Zira looked up at him. Again. She saw something strange in his face. Not fear. Not pity, something stronger. Something warmer. She whispered, voice dry and cracked. "Zira." The guard raised his baton. "Final warning, human." The human turned his head slightly and said coldly, "Try it." The guard stopped. The crowd watched in silence. The human turned back to Zira. Gently, he reached into his bag and pulled out a small bottle of clean water. He uncapped it and held it out. Zira stared at it like it was a miracle. Her hand moved slowly, carefully, as if afraid it would vanish. Her fingers touched the bottle. He didn't pull it away. She drank. It was the first clean water she'd tasted in weeks. Her throat ached. Her eyes burned with tears, but she wiped them fast, embarrassed. "Why?" she asked. "Why help me?" The human looked at her. His voice was calm. "Because someone should have, long ago." He stood up. Then, without asking, he gently lifted her from the ground, his arms strong but careful. Like she was something fragile. The crowd gasped. Double quotes, no one touches her. He'll catch her disease. He's mad, but the human ignored them all. He looked straight ahead and walked toward the edge of the market. Zira's body trembled in his arms, but her eyes never left his face. She didn't understand why he helped. She didn't know who he was, but for the first time in her life, someone carried her without hate. Zira had never been held before it. Least not like this. Her body was weak, thin, and cold. But inside his arms, for the first time, she felt weightless. The pain in her limbs didn't vanish, but for a moment, it didn't matter. The human's heartbeat echoed in her. Ear. Steady. Strong. Real. The wind brushed past her face as he carried her through the outer streets. Most people turned away. Some watched in disgust. A few even spat at the ground as he passed, but the human didn't slow. He didn't speak, and he didn't let her go. She glanced up at his face again. No fear, no regret. Just quiet determination. Where are you taking me? She finally whispered, voice rough like broken glass. He answered calmly, somewhere safe, somewhere you can rest. She didn't believe such a place existed. They arrived at a small shelter built from crashed starship parts and stone slabs, nothing fancy, but it had a roof, walls, and a door. It stood alone outside the main colony wall, near the old wreckage fields. Inside, it was quiet, dusty, but clean. He laid her gently on a folded blanket, then knelt beside her and opened his bag again. Zira watched, confused. No one had ever gone this far before. No one had even looked at her without fear or hate. Who are you? She asked. Name's Luke, he replied, pulling out a heating pack and sliding it under her blanket. Why are you helping me, Luke? She asked again, eyes narrowing. I'm not useful. I can't even walk. He looked at her seriously, then said, that's not what makes someone worth saving. She blinked. No one had ever said something like that to her. Not even her family before they'd thrown her out. Outside, night began to fall. A pale moon rose above the silent wreckage. Stars blinked over the dark sky. Luke handed her a protein bar and half a loaf of dried bread. She stared at it, then slowly took a bite. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Not because the food was delicious, but because it was the first full meal she'd had in weeks. Maybe longer. She couldn't stop shaking. Luke didn't comment. He just handed her a flask of warm broth. Zira swallowed hard, then asked quietly, do you know what I am? He nodded. I know you're from House Veltan, one of the old noble families. They lost everything in the war. You lost your legs in that attack on the embassy dome, didn't you? Her eyes widened. How do you know all that? Luke gave a small smile. I was a soldier in that sector. I saw the explosion from my unit's camp. Reports said no one survived. I did, she whispered. Barely. She looked down at the remains of her legs wrapped in cloth and shame. My family thought I was cursed. They said I was half dead, not worth healing, not worth feeding. They abandoned me at the edge of the capital ruins. Her voice broke, and no one ever picked me up again. Until you. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door. Luke rose quickly, hand moving to the weapon at his side. Who is it? He called. A voice growled from outside. Open up. Colony enforcement. You're housing an infected. This is against health law for 7B. Zira froze. Luke's hand tightened. She's not infected, he called back. She's injured. She needs medical attention. Step aside, human, the voice warned, or we'll come in by force. Luke looked at Zira. Her face was pale, terrified. Do you trust me? He asked her softly. She nodded. Luke turned back to the door and shouted, try it. Silence followed. Then, footsteps retreating. Zira looked at him, stunned. You're not afraid of them? I've faced worse than bullies with badges, he said. Let them come. Later that night, as the fire crackled beside them, Zero whispered something she hadn't said in years. "Thank you." Luke didn't reply. With words, he simply nodded and added another blanket over her. But as she drifted to sleep, a cold chill ran through the stars above. The fire crackled low, but it wasn't the sound that woke Zira. It was the silence, deep, heavy, like the calm before a storm. Her eyes blinked open. Luke wasn't beside her. Fear tightened her chest. Then she heard voices, low and angry. Just outside the small shelter, she dragged herself toward the door, pushing her weak body across the floor. Her fingers reached the edge of the wall. Carefully, she peeked through a gap in the metal. 3 aliens stood outside. All wore dark cloaks and carried stun rifles, and Luke stood alone in front of them. "No one wants her," one of the cloaked aliens hissed. "She brings sickness, war, and ruin. You'll regret this." Luke didn't flinch. "She's done nothing wrong. She exists." "That's enough," said another. "She's broken. She's cursed. And now she curse you too." Zira's heart beat faster. She recognized one of them. A minor noble from her old world Orlan, Velrus. He had once served under her father. He was a coward even back then. Now he looked like a shadow of the noble house he once praised. Zira swallowed her fear. She pulled herself back from the door, tears forming. Was Luke in danger just because of her? Was he really going to throw his life away for someone the world had forgotten? The door opened. Luke stepped inside, face calm but his jaw clenched. "They're gone," he said. Zira shook her head. "They'll be back. You should have given me up." Luke knelt beside her. "Do you believe that?" She looked at him. "Sometimes. I've lived so long being unwanted. I started to believe I deserved it." Luke didn't speak. He took out a small device from his pocket and placed it on the floor. A light hummed and blinked blue. "What is that?" she asked. "Scanner," he said. "Checking for bugs or trackers. If they're after you, I want to know how they keep finding us." Zira stared at the device, then at him. "You really believe I'm worth protecting?" He looked her straight in the eyes. "I don't protect people based on their legs, their titles, or what others say about them. I protect the ones who were left behind." By morning, word had spread. The market was full of whispers. "That crazy human is still with the broken girl. He's cursed now. Just wait. Misfortune follows her. She'll get him killed." But Luke walked through the crowd like none of it touched him. He bought supplies, food, tools, medicine. Then he returned to Zira like she was family. Later that day, something strange happened. An old alien woman, blind in one eye, came to their shelter. Zira flinched at first, but the woman only said, "I saw your light last night. I once knew your mother. I can help if you let me." Zira stared in shock. The woman placed a small satchel beside her. "Herbs, pain relief, not much, but maybe it helps." Then the woman turned to Luke. "Be careful, human. You've touched the thread of fate, and now it pulls tight." As night fell again, Luke sat sharpening a knife. Zira lay nearby, warmer now, no longer shaking. She watched him in silence. Finally, she whispered, "They think I'll bring you misfortune." "You think that too?" Luke gave a soft laugh. "Zira, I fought pirates in zero gravity. Survived firestorms. Faced beasts with teeth bigger than my head." He looked at her. You're not misfortune. You're the reason I'm still standing." Zira didn't know what to say. No one had ever seen her like this before. Not as a burden, but as something important. Zira woke up gasping for air. Her body was shaking. Sweat ran down her back. Her fingers gripped the blanket tightly. A nightmare, but it didn't feel like a dream. It felt real. In the nightmare, the stars above her turned black. Her family stood behind her, whispering that she was broken. Then, shadows pulled her into the ground. She looked around. Luke wasn't beside her. Her heart skipped. Luke? She whispered. No answer. She pulled herself to the edge of the bed. Panic building. Then a sudden crash outside. Her breath caught. Not thunder. Not wind. Metal. Something heavy had fallen. Her mind screamed. They found us. Outside. Luke was crouched near the back of the shelter, scanning the area. The food storage container had been smashed open from the outside. No animals. No signs of dragging. It was a warning. Then he saw it, a symbol burned into the metal wall. A twisted mark. One he hadn't seen in years. Luke's jaw tightened. The mark of the Black Guild, Assassins for Hire. This wasn't just a warning, it was a message. We know who you are, and we know who you're protecting. Back inside, Zira sat up as Luke entered. His face was darker than she'd ever seen. What happened? She asked. Luke sat beside her, placed his hand gently on hers, and said, "You need to tell me everything." She swallowed. "What do you mean? Not just your name or your family. I need to know what they're so afraid of." "What are they? Trying to bury?" Zira looked away, but the truth had to come out. "My family didn't just abandon me because I lost my legs," she said slowly. "They were scared of something else." Luke leaned forward, eyes sharp. "When I was a child, I could feel things. People's emotions, thoughts, sometimes even see what they were hiding." Luke's brows rose slightly. "Psychic?" She nodded, "but not trained, not safe. When the war came, I warned my family about the betrayal before it happened. They didn't believe me. When the enemy bombed our estate, I survived. My parents didn't." Her voice trembled. "After that, rumors spread that I was cursed, that I caused it. The nobles wanted to erase me, so no one would listen to my voice again." Luke took a long breath. "That's why they're hunting you. You know secrets that could destroy them." Zira nodded. Double quotes, "And now you're caught in it too." Luke stood and checked his rifle. "Then we stay ahead of them." That night, strange sounds filled the area. Whispers in languages not spoken. A flash of red light in the distance. Drones flying low, then vanishing. Luke stayed awake, eyes on the door, weapon close. Zira stayed quiet, her mind spinning. She had been rejected, thrown away, forgotten. But now, her voice mattered again, and that terrified those who had tried to silence her. Elsewhere, in a dark room beneath the alien city, the assassin knelt before a hologram. The image showed Zira lying beside a small fire, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "She's active again," the noble said coldly through the screen. "That human's making her believe she matters." The assassin's voice was like ice. "She won't live to believe much longer." "Be careful," the noble warned. "If she speaks the truth about what we did, about the war, the betrayal, our whole bloodline falls." The assassin smiled under her mask. "Then it's simple. I'll rip the truth out of her before she can speak it." Back in the shelter, Zira suddenly gasped. She clutched her head. Luke rushed to her side. "Zira, what is it?" Her eyes flickered, glowing silver for a second. "I saw her," she whispered. "A woman in armor. Her blade was at your throat. She's coming." Luke didn't question it. He stood and locked the shelter down. "She's not taking either of us." The wind suddenly stopped. No breeze. No sound. Even the insects outside the shelter had gone silent. Luke's eyes narrowed. He stood near the door, weapon ready. Zira sat against the wall, breathing fast. Her body still weak, but her eyes wide with fear. "She's close," Zira whispered. Luke nodded once. He believed her now. Her visions weren't just dreams. They were warnings. Then the lights inside flickered. Once, twice. And went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Luke switched to night vision mode on his visor. Everything turned green. He scanned the corners. Nothing. Then he saw it. The shadow of a person, clinging to the ceiling. Not walking, crawling, like a spider, moving silently. Above him, fast, he dove to the side just as a blade shot down through the air, slicing where his neck had been a second ago. Zira screamed. The assassin landed silently on the floor, blades in both hands, long black armor tight to her skin. Her mask glowed with a single red dot in the center. You should have stayed out of this. Human, she hissed. Luke raised his rifle. Fired. She twisted, dodged, and vanished into the shadows again. He moved quickly, stepping between her and Zira. She's here for you, he told Zira. I know, she said, her voice shaking. But I can feel her thoughts. She's scared I'll speak. Luke smirked. Good. The assassin struck again, this time from the side wall. She slashed at Luke's ribs, but he was faster now. He blocked with the butt of his rifle and kicked her backward. She flipped. Midair, landed on her feet, and threw a smoke capsule at the ground. Boom. The room filled with thick black smoke. Zira coughed. Luke grabbed her hand and pulled her behind a metal table. Close your eyes, she whispered. I can find her. He looked at her. You sure? She nodded. I can feel mines in the dark. She's moving right now. Luke spun and fired. Bang, bang, bang. A blade flew toward him. He ducked, barely avoiding it. The assassin cursed. She was wounded now. A shot had grazed her side. She knew she had only seconds left. Then Zira did something she hadn't done in years. She reached out with her mind. She entered the assassin's thoughts. Screams echoed in Zira's head. Pain, hate, orders. Kill the girl. Silence her forever. Protect the noble secrets. Zira gasped, eyes glowing faint silver. She was trained by my family's killers, brainwashed since childhood. She can't be saved, Luke said. She doesn't want it. Zira nodded once. Then let's end this. The smoke cleared. The assassin stood ready for one final charge, blood dripping from her wound. Luke moved first, firing rapidly, forcing her to dodge. Zira, with all her strength, focused her mind on the enemy's legs. The assassin froze for half a second, just long enough. Luke fired a shock round. Zap. It hit. She collapsed to the floor, body twitching. Luke ran over, kicked the blade away, and aimed down, but she laughed even through pain. You think stopping me ends this? She whispered. Zira dragged herself forward. She stared into the assassin's eyes and said calmly, I remember now. The assassin's face tensed. I remember the night of the fire. You were there. I saw you standing over my father's body. The assassin's lips curled into a grin. He screamed. Zira's voice turned cold. And now your masters will scream too. She closed her eyes and pulled from the assassin's mind a memory, a secret location. A vault. A hidden recording. Proof of what the nobles did. Of who betrayed her family. Of how many they had silenced. The assassin gasped. No, no. Zira opened her eyes, her face full of quiet power. You've lost. Luke pulled the trigger. One clean stun round. Darkness took the assassin. Later, as dawn rose, Luke wrapped Zira in a warm cloak. They sat near the fire. You okay? He asked. Zira nodded. I saw everything. And now I know where we have to go. Where? She looked toward the far mountains. There's a place my family tried to erase. A vault buried in the ruins of our old home. The truth is there. If we reach it, the galaxy will know what really happened. Luke stood. Then that's our next move. Zira reached up and touched his hand. Thank you for not leaving me. He smiled. You carried a truth they feared. Now let's make them listen. Asterisk, the sand shifted beneath the wheels of the hovercart. Zira lay inside it, wrapped in old blankets. The wind brushed her silver hair, and the cold morning air stung her face. Luke pulled the cart behind him, every step firm and steady. Ahead, the mountains rose like giants, silent, broken, and full of secrets. Somewhere in that forgotten stone, Was the truth Zira's home, or what was left of it? They had traveled far from the colony. No patrols. No cameras. No one dared come here. The land was considered cursed. Where noble houses once stood. Now only ash and bone remained. Trees had grown through marble floors. Iron gates were twisted like melted wax. Blackbirds circled overhead, watching from burned towers. Zira's eyes didn't blink. She had seen this place 1,000 times in her dreams, but never thought she would return like this. No one has been here in years, Luke said, scanning the area. It's completely abandoned. Not abandoned, Zira whispered. Erased. They stopped at a crumbling wall with a faded crest, 2 stars crossed behind a crown. House Velton. Zira reached out and touched the symbol with her fingers. It cracked and broke off in her hand. Luke helped her down gently from the cart. You sure you're ready? He asked. She looked at him. I was born here. I almost died here. It's time I face what's left. They moved deeper into the ruins. Zira guided him with slow words, pointing out paths she remembered. A garden once filled with glowing flowers, now dry vines. Fountain where she used to play, now full of dust and broken statues. But she remembered more than just the shapes. She remembered where her father had taken her once, during a storm. Underground. To a vault carved from ancient stone. He had whispered to her, one day, if we fall, this place will tell the truth. They found the stairs hidden beneath a fallen statue. The path was blocked with rubble, but Luke cleared it with his gloves and a cutting tool. Cold air rushed up from the darkness below. Luke helped Zira onto his back and began the climb down. Step by step. No light. No sound. Only the beating of 2 hearts. At the bottom, they found a sealed door. Symbols lit up as Zira approached. Her hand trembled as she pressed her palm to the center. It scanned her. A soft chime echoed. Access granted. The door opened with a heavy groan. Inside, a small chamber glowing with ancient light panels. In the center stood a device, old, dusty, but humming with power. Zira looked at Luke. This is it. She reached out and activated the console. A hologram appeared. Her father, alive, smiling, proud. Zira, the message began. If you are hearing this, then they tried to erase us. But you survived. And that means you are stronger than they ever believed. Tears ran down her face. Her father's voice continued. This vault contains the names of those who betrayed House Veltan, the secret deal with the enemy. The lies told to the council. They made me silent, but they cannot silence you. Luke stepped forward, looking at the data screen. This is more than proof, it's a weapon, Zira nodded. And they'll do anything to destroy it. Suddenly alarms blared. The hologram flickered. Luke spun around. What is that? Zira's face went pale. They tracked us. Outside. Above the ruins. Ships roared through the clouds. Black guild fighters, elite nobles, and a giant carrier. Dropping troops fast. They weren't coming to arrest. They were coming to burn everything. Luke grabbed the data core and slipped it into a secure slot in his armor. We move, now. He picked Zira up and sprinted for the stairs. Explosions shook the ground as the first bombs hit the surface above. The vault trembled. Stone cracked. They burst into the open just as enemy forces landed near the garden ruins. Dozens of them. Too many. Zira looked up at the sky, eyes burning bright. I won't run anymore. She closed her eyes, and her mind reached out. The ground was shaking, but not from bombs. Not from ships. From her. Zira stood for the first time since her legs were taken. Not by magic. Not by miracle. But by will. The old neural exosuit hidden in her family's vault had locked around her body. Ancient tech, long forgotten, had read her DNA and fused to her spine. With every breath, it learned her pain and gave her strength. The glowing silver lights along the suit's frame pulsed in rhythm with her heart. And when she took her first step, the storm stopped. Luke stared in awe as she rose from the dust. Xeno, once crawling, once forgotten, now walked through fire like she belonged to it. The enemy forces stood frozen. Some dropped their weapons. Others backed away. The nobles had warned them of a broken girl, a cursed shadow of the past. They weren't prepared for a rising queen. The noble leader, High Lord Velraz, watched from the command ship above. He slammed his hand on the table. "It's not possible. She was supposed to die." His advisor stammered. "Her suit was locked for centuries." "Only the bloodline. I am the bloodline," Velraz screamed. "She's nothing but a cripple with memories." A soldier turned to him slowly. "She's more than that now, sir. She's the truth you tried to bury." Back on the battlefield, Luke moved beside her. "You okay?" he asked. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. Her glowing eyes looked past the enemy soldiers. "To them, I was trash," she said. "To you, I was worth saving." She turned toward the enemies and raised her voice. "I give you one chance. Drop your weapons, leave, or history will write your names in ashes." No one moved. Then one soldier, a younger alien, dropped his rifle. Then another. Then 5 more. Velraz watched from above in horror as his army shattered, not from fear of death, but from belief in her. But he wasn't finished yet. He hit. The final command: launch it. The last bomb, a ship-based plasma missile aimed straight at the ruins. And Xeno, Luke's visor picked it up. "Incoming, big one." Xeno's hands clenched. And for the first time, she didn't hide her power. She faced the sky, eyes burning with light, and screamed. The missile streaked through the clouds, and then stopped. Mid-air. Held by invisible force. Xeno's body shook. Blood ran from her nose. Luke moved toward her. "Xeno, you'll kill yourself. I'd rather die standing than crawl ever again." With a roar, she redirected the missile straight into the command ship. The skies exploded in fire. The noble's flagship shattered into flaming debris, and the world went quiet. Later, as the sun broke over the ruins, Xeno stood at the gate of her home. The soldiers who once hunted her now stood at attention, not as enemies, but as witnesses. Luke walked beside her, armor scratched, face dirty, but smiling. "They'll come again," he said softly. She nodded. "Then we'll be ready." "What now?" Xeno looked toward the stars. "Now I speak. Now I show the galaxy the truth. And maybe, just maybe, we build something better." She turned to him. "Thanks to you." He shrugged. "I just gave you a hand." She smiled for the first time. "You gave me a reason." Across star systems, screens lit up with a broadcast. Girl once called worthless, broken, cursed, now stood tall in armor with glowing light, and her voice rang out. "My name is Xeno Veltan. They tried to erase me, but I survived. And now I speak for every soul cast aside. Stand with me, and we'll never be silent again."